And we're back. We have to get through 3 hours of Freedom Grower. All right, this will be exciting. All right, so I think that my Sky Daddy has blessed me with a very, very relaxing shift because I think my Sky Daddy wants me to help Dick. You know, just take the veil off his eyes, humble him. The reason I pressed pause, Dick, the reason I pressed pause was there's no way that you're going to come on here after doing 3 hours of talking and then after come here and open up a monologue again. I told you no one's going to overspeak on my channel again. So before I'm going to waste my time with you, I want to know, did you acknowledge in the 3 hours that you took it out of context, you were ignorant of the context, or you were deceiving purposefully? Your Most High, you said, the Most High told me to do that, told me what to say. So your Most High is a liar. So are you intellectually honest? Did you acknowledge, okay, well, he came with a response on that one, off to the next, straw man? Did he? Can anybody that is has been there, because if you went through 3 hours and all I wanted to concentrate was debunked your 137 through Isaiah. So out of context, that's what I called him out for. Paraphrasing basically the context of our conversation. Freedom, for some reason, realizes that he completely got debunked. Completely looks foolish if people remember that he was under the delusion that his brain daddy, his Sky Daddy in the brain, was telling him to do that. So talk about being self-deluded. Freedom, if you're going to behave, if you're going to be a good Dick, feel free to come on. But we're not starting the conversation until you acknowledge your ignorance, until you acknowledge that you deceived, until you acknowledge that it was all in your mind, your Most High. And I'm, like you told me when I was on the stream, and I appreciated that. You said, sorry, I didn't want to come on the stream, and ruin, your stream. Same thing to you. I am so sorry that you were so triggered by being debunked that you had to go on a 3-hour rant, which I appreciate. I'm going to go on a 3-hour rant. I want to take the time to go through this 3-hour rant. And I'm going to take my time and I'm going to go one at a time. And I'm just going to debunk every single falsehood to show that you're clueless and that you can act all smart and wise when you don't actually have any doctrine and it's all coming from your head and it's all your opinion. I mean, like, I thought you said that you're a Bible thumper. Because your concepts about Christianity are really, really bad, which it makes perfect sense why you left the church and now you're just talking about simulations and matrix and probably flat earth with the rest of them. Okay. I love the term Sky Daddy. Me too. More from atheists than floating spaghetti monster. Yeah, well, I definitely like Sky Daddy more better too, because as you know, I'm low carb keto. So a floating spaghetti monster, I would never worship a carbohydrate. So hello, Jason. Hey, Kai. Thumping isn't reading. Sky Daddy was actually funny. However, floating spaghetti shows how depraved an atheist brain devolves into. Yep. God leaves us to our own devices. I like how Dick basically, he started like to try and put a facade of humility, like, I don't know everything, and maybe, and I just want to have an open discussion where we share stuff. And it's like, really? And you didn't realize, Freedom, that you came on and you started your monologue again. And a couple of times I was trying to get into it, and I muted you. I put you on a timeout, because, and I'm glad I did that, because what I'm getting back is that you didn't even acknowledge that 137 was completely taken out of context. You're a liar, dude. You're a liar, and you've been shown up. I think that's why you're triggered. You're on a 3-hour rant, not explaining the video that was all about Psalms 137. And then I don't know what your obsession is with defending demonic offsprings. But we obviously, I gave my theory in the first video. Imagine a power you can't bear to look at. That's God, the creator. Yes, sir. So, hey, what's up, G Legend? Nice to see you, Kai. Hey, Avi. All right, let's maybe try and go through a little bit. Like I said, I'm just going to be popping out live streams, tons of them, short ones, bad ones. Like, I'm not going to record this. I may as well just look at it the first time and go from there. Sorry, guys, we're going to have to be tortured by Freedom Grower until I get through and debunk every single thing that came out of his ignorant / perhaps deceitful mouth. I won't assume, but it's one or the other. Either he was ignorant of what he was saying or he was deceitful. And obviously, if he said the Most High said that and it was taken out of context, there's a certain amount of delusion, and there's nothing wrong about that. We all, to a certain extent, have our little delusions. It's just, well, some people, it's a little more than others, right? All right. Let's go, Skydaddy. Freedom Road. Well, I have a lot more to talk about my Skydaddy. I'm going to talk about my Skydaddy till your eyes glaze over. But of course, and again, I'm really sorry. My intention wasn't to trigger you into a 3-hour rant, but it's fair, right? I got a little frustrated the first time we met, and it's okay. We're even. That means, this time it was you.
Hard. And I think if you look at your own actions, anyone who's interacted with me, you'll see where you might have taken a curve or a fork in the road on the energy that you were bringing because something I said triggered you. And so then I brought it back. But that's all fair in love and war. It's not like we're children here that can't handle a little bit of pushback or a little bit of sarcastic poking when it comes to absurd ideas and things that really.
Obviously, as a human being, I wish you well. I don't hate you. I wish everybody well. But yeah, I'm definitely going to jab at you. You were doing the pretending to be passive. Yeah, it was jabs and stuff like that. So it's all fair. And again, I'm super glad knowing that you actually did not respond to Psalms 175, 137. I hope that your viewers are honest enough to go like, oh, you didn't talk about. I mean, obviously you avoided it. So, but I would because it'll show your character. If you are wrong, and you don't have to say if it was real or not. I know you don't believe in the Bible, but if we look at it as a narrative, just as a storyline, you were criticizing and you're showing ignorance in one of the chapters because you didn't know the context, and really sorry that you can't handle being silenced for one question. You think you're going to come onto my channel after talking 3 hours with more, straw men, and then I'm going to allow you again without first of all asking my first question? Okay, it's not your podcast, dude. Learn your place.
Really don't just pass the sniff test right out of the gate. They deserve to be poked into a bit, at least from my vantage point. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll have to face my wrongness with the Most High.
Yes, you will. And that's what shocks me, is that you basically said, I don't know and stuff, yet you are so damn sure to call Yahweh a monster and to deny the New Testament, the Gospels, the Epistles, to completely and it says, another gospel, that you guys have another gospel.
I find it odd that, well, maybe not odd, but it's pretty predictable that most of these people run around and they'll give you a label. They will tell you what you think.
So Dick keeps on coming on and saying, tell me what you believe. Tell me what you believe. Tell me what you believe. And I'm like, yeah, actually, I do believe the Gospels are historical accounts about the core freaking tenets of what God wants to show, the Savior. And these are authentic because they've by scholars, by academic, atheists as well. No one's like saying, oh, these scrolls are false and stuff like that. They've been dated, okay, and they are accurate. I know you won't believe that because it won't fit into it. The epistles obviously shows that it's just letters that were saved and collected, because along with direct communications between the early believers, it also had a lot of the theology as well.
They'll tell you believe you're God, all these absurd things. And
the fact that he just doesn't realize that he has created his worldview as well. And I think somebody said he keeps on asking, he's like ecstatic, which shows that they're of the same spirit, obsessed about these pastures. I don't understand. I learn from a lot of people. I read the Bible. I learn myself. Most important is trying to apply it. Then I'll look at Michael Heiser and I'll use my discernment. If the guy earns my respect, I'll be able to learn from him. Therefore, you're not just going once a week to commune. You could technically do 3 hours on 1.5 speed. You could be doing 6 hours at a time. And all of, anyways.
They don't listen to the context of what you're saying. But I also do.
Yeah, the context, right? We understand the context. Everything's an allegory until you want to turn everything historically factual and physical and literal when it serves your purpose to deceitfully paint Yahweh's character in a way that allows you to support your Gnostic beliefs, your hatred of Yahweh and your Most High. If you're telling me that Yahweh is evil and immoral, that's what Gnostics say. But the Gnostics as well talk about a Most High, the monad. And you as well acknowledge Yahweh evil, and then you're talking about a higher, the Most High. Again, that's Gnostic. All right? So even if you don't want to acknowledge it, everything that's coming out of your mouth and your interpretations are Gnostic. So you can have salvation from knowing the truth, right? And that's your version of truth will set you free. That's not what's meant by it.
Do totally understand that it goes both ways. There's a bias on all sides of these arguments, me included. Like, I have my opinions, I have my determinations, I have the conclusions I've come to, and I also have my carnal mind, which is ego. So it certainly is rooted in some narcissism and vanity, and I'm okay to acknowledge that.
So am I.
We're all playing with our personality.
It's just, it's weird how you're all talking about, you're talking exactly like I was talking. Oh, I want to, be in this community, though I know that, people, it's not a Christian community. I want to try and hang around with Patrick in his community, collaborate, all of this stuff. That's what I came in for. And again, you looked like you were relaxed, but you kept on over talking. You kept on over talking. You had zero respect on my opinion. Anytime I tried to talk, I wanted to talk about the typologies, and I never got into anywhere near it because I literally kept on repeating. If you remember, I kept on, and you're like, okay, look, you're repeating yourself. Yeah, you only gave me like 10 seconds at a time. I kept on trying to restart over. So
at some level.
So I don't look, either it's because you're like, oh my gosh, okay, now I do look stupid because that was taking out of context, and now you realize you're maybe I don't know, a little nervous and stuff like that. You're like, this guy knows his doctrine, and now you're changing your tune. Now you want to come on, you want to share, you want to talk, all of these things. So you acknowledged at one point that you're not sure, you don't know. Okay, so why are you so sure that you should be spitting on Yahweh? And why are you so sure that you should be denying the true Christ? And I know you like to say that you do believe in Jesus, but you don't. You don't. You believe in a Jesus, which the New Testament warns about. It says there'll be many Christs that will come. Talks about a new gospel. There's a reason why there's not Gnostic churches or whatever in Gnostic caves, right? It died out. It died out because it's not inspired. It's that is truly doctrines of men. The Gospel of Judah, where all of a sudden Judah's a good guy. Oh, this one, Jesus sleeping with Mary. It's like, where are you guys getting this, right? And you should check what the date of the Nagahame scrolls are considered to be. They are far, they're like down the road after the Gospels.
And the bigger picture of this conversation, though, is something that's compelling to me and interesting.
No, it's not interesting because you're not curious, and you're not even going in with the mindset. It's like, okay, I'm gonna really take my time and let him talk. I'm gonna try not to talk over. It's like you just came in, blah 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 blah, talking about humility, but you're so sure, making assumptions, something about a pastor or something like that. People go to churches, okay, because they're like-minded and they enjoy encouraging each other, just like you guys when you go on your like big panel of streams talking about like whatever fantasy and musings and of your whatever the Most High is telling you guys. So you guys enjoy, right, a fellowship, a communing on your panels. That's a gathering where more than one or two like-minded people are gathered. But for some reason, Christians that would like to commune and to fellowship with other people that say, yeah, I want to go to church. Do you need to go to church? No. Can you be a Christian that has a personal relationship with Christ and follow the Bible and maybe, do your own research with lectures and stuff like that? Yeah. But some people want to take it one step further and they're like, oh man, I find it really encouraging because I'm out all week, right? I'm out all week and it's just the world, right? Dragging you in, gossip all around, getting pulled in. You're trying to stay, godly, following, commandments, and it's difficult. So when you arrive there, you get inspired, you're rejuvenated. It's hard to go into social situations where you're like, okay, well, you know what? I can't, I got to shut my mouth there. I know they don't believe that, so I'm not going to discuss this. But then after you get there and it's relaxing, it's like-minded people, you encourage each other. And That's it. The fine. The pastor is somebody who is educated, and that is their profession, and they take care of the church. They have a salary from it. I don't see anything wrong by that. There's crap churches, there's crap people, there's crap religions, religious people. You know, sorry.
Do you like to hear people's opinions on it?
Yeah, you don't. You didn't even allow me to say my opinion the first time. All you kept on spouting was this stupid, like, repetitive doctrines of men. It's just enough to cut somebody. Doctrines of men. Doctrines of men.
I find it amazing how offended people get at my opinions. I mean, just absolutely.
I'm not offended. You asked me I should have a defense for my faith. Again, in retrospect, having done further research, I took everything I remember everything. I took everything that you said seriously. And then I realized, don't give pearls to pigs. Don't engage in scoffers. Don't engage in people at your level, because what you're going to do is you're going to take what is sacred from me that I am wishing to share, and you're going to spit on it and step on it. Exactly what you do by not sharing and straight out saying your God and Yahweh is this. You do this because of the pastor. Your book, this, that. Give me a break. I mean, seriously. Now you still haven't acknowledged that you're completely off on Psalms 135, and now you're being dishonest with this. I'm going to go through this 3-hour video, unfortunately, and I will stop and I will have an answer for every single one of your superficial questions that you think are profound.
Turned upside down, like even in the case with this Jason guy, he feels like all these months later, he needs to come back and do this.
Yeah, you should know my Skydaddy is very patient in responding. And if I didn't have a response, the Holy Spirit testified, yeah, go with it. I was definitely not in a spiritual state of mind. I often get pulled into the world, like going to the gym, strengthen, and then fizzle out. Obviously not fizzle out, but it's hard to keep, that consistency when, you're working, you have children, the world pulls you away. And usually I do not make videos about this unless I'm in the zone. But I wasn't in the zone. That's why I wanted to talk about flat earth that time. And yes, I didn't feel that I had a appropriate answer. I can justify all the other nations the way Israel and Yahweh treat it. And I was aware of, Babylon, but a lot more work needed to be done on that. And no, Isaiah, a lot of the prophets, I'm learning the prophets, but boy, those things you have to go to the academics. You got to get the geography, the context, because there's some prophecies that were already fulfilled. There's some that are not, and it's extremely hard. It takes a lifetime to go deeper and deeper in the Bible, but the Bible starts proving itself because there's so many connected intricacies that, as you start with a lot of doubt. I started with doubt. I didn't believe in the triune nature of God. So I was more like a Unitarian. So there was a lot of progress. I didn't speak about my religion because I was still actually embarrassed, kind of like the Christians denying Christ initially because they're babes in Christ, but as they progress into young men in Christ, adults and elders, they become bolder and more wise.
Response video, which is fine. I'm not faulting you, but I mean, obviously what I said affected you. Yes. And caused you to think.
Yes.
And so for that alone, you're welcome, Jason.
Yeah. And that wasn't trying to do little jabs at you. It is beneficial. Like, I want my religion challenged. And that's why it literally took me from 20 to 38-ish. Maybe it's 6 years now, 5 years, I don't know. 3 years of COVID, it felt like it was time, kind of like we're already this many years past, kind of like altered my idea. But yeah, um, I, I I want to be intellectually honest with my religion, with my belief. I truly, believe it, and I don't want half-assed answers that I know are really not good. I didn't have enough detail on that specific passage besides recognizing Psalms 137. God was never commanding that and stuff like that. That last raising and stuff like that. Yeah, like without the context, I really wasn't able to defend that aspect. But you were saying, oh, you should be able to give a defense. I did give a defense, but that doesn't mean that there's certain passage that you still have to weed through. There's tons of stuff that I don't know, but the core tenets I do know. And if this is my fairy tale that I tell myself, and it has given me strength through all of my trials, it has humbled me. It has allowed me to raise 4 children that weren't even mine. It has allowed me to accept a 20-month-old that we will foster. It allows me to be a better person, a better husband. And so what if my fairy tale, what if it's a fairy tale, and that fairy tale made me a good person because the mere belief created a change in perception and opened up my heart or something that, I was able to get there, I guess.
Because if I challenged your faith and caused you to have to go inspect your faith and get rooted solid in it so that you knew what you were going to say when you were questioned about these things, then good for you, dude. You were able to grow and develop and have a stronger argument.
That's true.
Hopefully, perhaps. I have not.
Yeah, maybe I'll wait. Okay, so you acknowledge it's a stronger argument, but just for that one, please, like, Rich, can you just acknowledge, like, oh, I didn't know that kind of context. Good on you. Most Christians never had an answer. Like, it's like, okay, there's plenty of other chances to try and call Yahweh a monster. Like, can you at least show that you're willing to be honest? And then maybe maybe we could talk if you want. Maybe we could, you could act the way you acted in this stream, and I'll return to acting the first time I spoke to you, and then maybe we could share. But you're not interested in sharing. You have a hatred for Yahweh. For some reason, Buddhism is fine. For some reason, any other Hinduism is fine. For some reason, why do people hate Christianity so much? It's because if you're not of God, then you're against him.
Not listen to this video. So it'll be my first response as well. I just cut into it there and I said, I'm going to stream it. I might not say much. It depends what he says. So I'm gonna just listen to it, and if I feel compelled to respond, I might say.
Oh my God, it was 4 hours. Okay. Yeah, Rich. I think I'm gonna do like you. I'm just maybe put it like 1.25. Just get through this a little faster. I got about another 20 minutes.
Something I may go back and do a response video, or just politely extend an invitation, Jason, if you would like to come up and talk with me. My Streamyard is out of minutes.
Dude, I know that you're not going to be able to keep your mouth shut. And if I'm on yours, I know that I won't be able to mute you. If you want to have a discussion where personally I could care less what you think at the end of the discussion, it's more like using you as a tool to have a way of explaining things so that the viewers, like I care about the viewers, I care about saving viewers, not people like you that have God has allowed you to go to your vices. If you think that you can over and over and over and over spit on Yahweh and preach a false Jesus, and then eventually he's not going to say like, have fun, let your heart harden, I'm done with you. You know, he's not going to force himself. That's what I'm seeing.
It's otherwise I would have put a StreamYard link for this one, but it's 5/27, so June 1st I'll have my StreamYard back, and I could do a stream with you. Or if you want to do one and invite me on, I can jump onto your StreamYard.
The only way I can see it is a moderator that will mute me and allow you 3 minutes. We'll do 3 minutes back and forth or something. I don't care how many minutes. You talk. If you're done, you can concede your time. Mutes are switched. I got my time. I can concede my time if it's a quick response, and back and forth with a moderator. That way I can assure that you are not doing what you did last time and what you were trying to do this time. And that's just to speak over me and let me start over. And then, I don't know, maybe eventually you say, dude, you're repeating yourself, and off you'd go. Like, I did learn my lesson. Like, you came on one of my first live streams where I didn't realize the dynamics of people. I came in there naive and just excited to start talking on live streams with different people, and yeah. So
I'm not looking to get into some big blowout argument. However, it may go that way if you don't give me fair consideration to my response the same way I would to you, but
the same way you would to me, dude. I'm really gonna have to do a video showing how many seconds between each interruption you allowed me. You gave me.
Maybe doing it this way is the best way, because I can just chill back and listen to you. And
yeah, I think this is the best way. I don't know how we would. I think, I don't know, 4 hours, and then that's going to extend because I'm watching 4 hours and pausing it. Like before you know it, like it doesn't make sense. I will speak with you through a unbiased moderator and we don't have to have a debate with a specific premise. What I mean by is we'll have a conversation, but it's going to be moderated by somebody that's going to not allow people to speak over each other and give the equal amount of time. And it's just a moderation of a discussion where the discussion can go wherever it goes. After this, if you want, sure, you shake hands and start over, and we can do it the way you said, sharing and all that stuff. But I'm not doing it this time. I'm debunking you. This one I want to go. So what I'll do is this one full of little responses, not too long. So there's going to be tons of stuff just popping up, for. Oh. Okay. Nado. Ouais. Non, non, j'ai été au code. Il y a assez de monde. Il y a assez de monde. Patient intubé. Pas de problème avec les voix respiratoires. La nouvelle admission. OK, bye. Bye. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Let me just respond a little bit. Send an invite. Anyone wants to come on? Paste. Hey, Charles. How are you, man? Okay. Imagine the power of God, blah, blah, blah. I am Kai, true, so brilliant. You can't even look more than 2 seconds and feel like an ant. We are humans. Our creators beyond our shallow way of thinking. Yeah, it says in the Bible, your mind is not my mind. My thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. The moral lawgiver, knowing the start from the finish, he has given us laws as the creator. He can enter history. I don't see any examples of that, but technically God, knowing the future, can come in and say, this has to happen because I know that'll happen. Now, God knows the beginning from the end. Then a lot of people say, like, what about free will? Like, if he knows the beginning, he knows what we're going to do and stuff like that. Hey, look, listen. When a teenager starts doing drugs, starts doing bad behavior, the parent knows where the end goal is. It they know, even though the child is still, they know the child will use free will, but as a parent, we're not God. Just as a parent, when they're going this way, I recognize where his heart is. I know where his thoughts are, and this will be the end goal. And parents can foresee things. So an infinite, omnipresent creator, believe me, he is not held to moral standards. That being said, he follows his moral standards. I'm just saying that you can't, and on top of it, I'm curious, Rich, is, oops, sorry, never mind. Let's start it. I don't want to go off on a tangent. Labels themselves are to degree triggering tactics to make room for arguments. Yeah. LOF is rough because demonic fallen angels made it that way. I always will give great gratitude to our creator, Skydad, for waking up. People forget that fallen angels hate humans. Yeah, well, I don't know. Rich, I just don't think that he's understanding like what's being said. It's like they're demonic. Why are you criticizing God because he's trying to rid demonic activity that is completely ravaging his creation? Like what? I don't know. Like, so you mustn't be understanding it because like you're basically over and over saying, if you think that it's justified to kill hybrids, man, F you. And it's like, okay. Rich defends demonic offspring. The fallen hate us because we are above them, though they be angelic beings. They have no souls. Not sure about souls, but I do know that the angelic beings are there to minister to humans, and that the humans would be higher than angels. Satan didn't like that, and Satan rebelled, and this is where we are. Gradual legend. If I remember Enoch properly, fallen angels, Nephilim, helped humans build the ark. They don't hate humans. Okay, Charles, just read first book of Enoch because it's not that big, and to be honest, it's like the first few chapters is specifically about the Nephilim and stuff like that, and it goes into more details, but just to get it correct. Here. Hey, Charles.
Yo, hey, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, let me just respond to your
Sure.
So if you read the book on Enoch, it's not very long, and you have the PDF on it. The quick story is, and people still get it messed up too. The fallen angels are not the Nephilim. So the fallen angels are angels. They just use their free will and said F this, and angels that rebel become demons. It's like, demons and angels. They're both spiritual beings. And anyways, when they came down, they screwed women and created this hybrid. Now, look.
Yeah, the Elliot.
Like, if people don't care, if they don't believe it, whatever. What I'm saying is, no, the narrative of the Bible makes sense. It's just that when it was written, probably the first book of Enoch, this whole like Watchers and Nephilim and all of this stuff, it was like common knowledge around the culture. So when it was written historically, not much detail was put into it, because it was like it's written somewhere else. And in fact, the first book of Enoch was in the Ethiopian Bible. None of the scholars say that you cannot use it as a way of understanding the thoughts and the ideas going around in the culture at that time, because the first book of Enoch, though it wasn't decided to be canonized, there are some passages in the New Testament that quote directly that, and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Did you watch Freedom Grower a bit, or you just
I kind of caught a little bit of it. Then I seen that you were live streaming, so I figured if you're going to do a follow up on it, I'd just listen to your follow up.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be doing the guy talk for 4 hours.
Yeah, I seen that.
Which is great. It's about me. That's fun. But so I'm gonna.
So I just want to point out, like, real quick,
go ahead.
on that comment about the Nephilim. So I mean, I read the Book of Enoch. It's been a while. So that's why I was saying, like, I don't really remember 100% of it, but I was writing. I had some notes that I had written before, because I was trying to source like some information on giants for different religions, like different mythologies. And I was like, well, what were the you watch movies, and Hollywood, being the bastard that it is, always twists and warps stuff out of perspective. And I'm like, well, are the Nephilim the giants? Are the Elliot the giants? Who are the giants in Christian mythology? Where are they bad? Where do they come from?
It's the angels, rebelled, they fell, they did this whole Genesis 6 situation. Then after, the Nephilim are the offspring of the fallen angels and the humans, so therefore they for some reason they were of large stature, and they were evil. Obviously the spirit in them is not from God, it's an abomination. So they're just innately evil. But I'm not sure, because I'm not sure if they talked about helping to build the ark. To my knowledge, I saw that in the movie, but I did not see it in the Book of Enoch. And from what I researched a lot recently, I've done stuff on Enoch. They're not good. Like, at least from the Book of Enoch, the fallen angels, it says all of them, they made an oath that they would do this. They did it. And, so the flood, same thing. The flood is because of a genetic tainting,
there was a whole bunch of stuff that led to the flood. It wasn't just that, but there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened to God's creation that he was like, nah, we got to start over.
Yeah, and it popped into my eye. Like, it was so obvious when I'm like, because I always said he's perfect in his generations. Oh, like he was a good, righteous man. That's why he chose Noah. It's like, no, he's perfect in his generations. If you look at the Greek, it can also mean genealogy. He was perfect in his genetics.
Yeah,
that's why he was chosen. The whole book is Gen X, Gen X, Gen X, and thank goodness that now the ability for Christians all over academic everywhere, people are starting to kind of weed out things that have happened through traditions, right down to the eternal conscious torment doctrine. I've refuted that biblically. So there's a lot. I think that there's a corruption occurring of Christianity to a certain extent, because the churches are going woke, a lot of them. But then there's also, I think, a remnant that are becoming sharpened. There's always a remnant, I find, in the Bible. The majority are always wrong, and there's, for some reason, he's keeping a remnant. And I think that it's the quality of a Christian, not the quantity.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the churches, that's what they're doing, right? They're trying to make it or worldly because they want to get more people. But it's like, you just diluted your doctrine. Why the hell are people there? And any of the people, once you do that are serious Christians, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah, you always see that with like these progressive Christians, like the people that are sticking around are not true believers in the faith.
No.
They are there because of I would say like activism. They're there because it's an activist aspect of the religion. They can claim that they're Christian so that they can sort of misguide the people who do believe and say, oh, look, I'm a Christian just like you, and I believe this, so you should also believe this because you're also a Christian. And our church, you know, and then they reinforce that with church teachings, and it's like, none of that stuff is Christianity.
A church is like a mechanic. Maybe the Catholic Church, Orthodox Church might be very consistent because they almost have like a governing board. All the Protestant religions don't have any governing board. But the other thing is, if you're a Christian, you will go shopping for a church that is a living church with real believers, and you will sense the Holy Spirit there. Mm-hmm. And our church is extremely biblical. It's we will go through one book at a time, one passage, and off we go. And it's like, it's a half an hour service. You get a little bit of inspiration, and then you fellowship together. This idea about they kept on saying pastor. It's like, pastor is not the authority. The minute the pastor says something that's not Christian, everyone's going to tell him to get lost.
Yeah.
You know, they're not their own people. And yeah, there's pastors that are off the wall, but if it's full of the church, it's a bunch of people who are just, not real Christians as well. So if people are doing panels here, okay, to communicate, all these different communities, vegan, carnivore, awake, Christian. It's like, why are we doing that? Is it just because we're commanded to? No, people like to once in a while hang around with people that are like-minded. It's hard to kind of like bite your lip, navigate around your impulses, and try and dance with another person that like we have no common ground. It's exhausting on all sides. So you get there, like-minded people. You're there for an hour. You have some sweets, which I never do because everyone eats
yeah.
And that's it. And I'm like, and the other thing is that what if this fairy tale has changed an individual's life from somebody who perhaps wasn't sending much light out there to somebody who their heart just opened up because of this fairy tale, and they become a better person? Because that's me.
And I don't see any problem with that. Like, if I've met some people who are, born again or Reformed Christians, like people who got out of prison that are like, yeah, man, I found Jesus, and like they're 100% better people, like 180 degrees different from what they were before. And, more power to you. I ain't going to slight people for finding something that helps them get on the straight and narrow.
Some people that do that without religion. They grow up,
Yeah.
And
like, I don't believe the hardcore anti-theist idea that you don't need religion. I think that's stupid, and I think that there are some people out there who absolutely do need like that. They need that mythology in their life, and whether it's Christianity, whether it's Scandinavian, Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Babylon, like whatever they want to believe in that helps them be better people. like objectively better people, because we can say like without a doubt that there are some things out there in terms of what qualifies as religion that are objectively bad to believe in. Like, I don't believe for a second that somebody who is a Satanist is a good person. Like, I just don't. Like, the ideology behind that is entirely corruptible and degenerate and disgusting. And I'm not a Christian at all. But
it's subtle, because basically the satanic golden rule is do whatever you want, do what thou wilt.
Pretty much. Yeah.
It doesn't sound that bad, but it is, because imagine if people live by that doctrine. Well, you know what? I want to bang you in an alley.
Yeah.
I'm doing what you want. There's no morality. There's no God. We're just a bunch of molecules smashing it, together, and kind of thing.
Well, for them, it's not just that there's no God. It's just like they believe that there's a God, but they just believe in outright, absolute defiance of said God. And it's like, like when you read what happened to the devil, it's not good times.
No,
like when you go against that.
I do acknowledge that because I was very impressed with Jordan Peterson when he did the Genesis thing like that, and he wasn't Christian. He was using it more like Carl Jung, all archetype. And I've gone through this with OTW that thinks that it's the whole thing is an allegorical test, and I said no. I said it is true on multiple levels. We could say that the whole Old Testament stories, being imprisoned in Egypt, is imprisoned in our ego. Then Moses is that first impulse to leave egoism. Then after we go on a spiritual path and we're in a dry, arid desert, we don't go from enslavement to the promised land. We spin in circles. We complain. We want to go back to the enslavement of look, I get that, like I know that. But I'm going one step further, and I'm saying, it's real on this one. It's real allegorically, and I believe that it's a historical, text or whatever. But for me, I'm not a pastor. I'm not trained. Okay, I studied it for 20 years. It was just like something that drove me crazy, and then so while I was not believing it, I was kind of learning it, And then after when I finally like something clicked, and I was like, oh my God, I think I'm Christian. No, like I was embarrassed. Like I initially I was like, people would be like spitting on Jesus in front of me. Like people don't think I'm stupid. But it's weird because as you progress or something, you don't really care about that. But I always say, from a Christian perspective, I don't like the Bible, the narrative and stuff like that, straw man. So I'm always going to say, look, this is the context that they mean. Is it real? Is it fake? I don't care. Just don't take the story out of context. Believe it, say it's full of crap. So that's what I want to bring to the table. I want to share. When I do, you'll see months. Sometimes it'll pop up a spiritual thing here, and then I'll go on vegan. I just do whatever, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, did you want to start the video again? Because I definitely want to stick on topic. I don't want to start having like Freedom Grower triggered into 3 hours and then we're not talking about them.
Oh, so no, that's up to you, man. I'm happy to do whatever you want.
Well, I'm gonna do another 30 minutes, and then I have to go do my rounds. Obviously, if I get called, either I can let you talk and keep the airtime if you have a lot of stuff to say.
No, I don't have a lot to say.
Stop it. Or I'll stop it and keep an eye all throughout the day. When I have extra time, I'm going to be banging out these live streams and watch them. Don't watch them.
For sure. If you want to go another 30 minutes, I mean, I can sit here and listen and maybe help you chime in or something.
Like when I stop or something, like I'll say what I'm thinking, and I'll say, you have anything to add?
Sure.
It would be cool because it's like, I'm a Christian and you're not a Christian, so it'll be interesting to the response. Like what kind of response are you going to give about what freedom's doing?
Yeah.
Entire screen. Okay, share. Getting faster with this new layout. There. Do you see it?
Yep, got everything.
All right.
But I don't understand why we just can't have open conversations about this stuff. Let's see what you got to say here, Jason. I'm going to put you on. I might speed your video up.
I have to give him props, though. He did take the time to look at it, and he took a crap load of time to answer. So obviously, I write, goes on 3-hour rant. No, I appreciate it. Again, these are just like clickbait kind of things to write something that's spicy. But I appreciate the fact that he took the time to listen. He took freaking 4 hours out of a Saturday day off to go into that. And I do want to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So we can move through because it's an hour-long video, and I got a bunch of shit I got to do today. I got to go look at some goats, which will be fun. Goats.
Oh, nice, man. Are you a homesteader?
Chopping.
That's what I want to get into.
All right, let's see if we got anybody here in the chat yet. Yo, Mary, what's happening? It's okay to be right and wrong at times. Yeah, exactly.
We look through a glass darkly. What do you, Charles, as somebody that's like more objective and stuff like that, like the way, like you never saw the first one, right? So you can't compare. Probably.
No,
I don't think you were on my channel when it did it.
Mm-hmm.
He basically came on. He wasn't rude, but he came in and he knew how to, like a lightning round you.
Yeah.
It was a challenge. Okay. You start going doctrines and cuts you off. Yeah. Oh, and then you'll see in the video, if ever you see it, I'm getting flustered, and I didn't even know there was a mute button. I was just doing the live stream. I came in there. I wanted to share things with people that are not necessarily like-minded. And if you look at any of my religious stuff, most of the time, I hope somebody calls me. I always say from a Christian perspective, acknowledging not everybody believes it. So
yeah.
And I find I'm not claiming absolutes. This guy, none of their community ever gave me that, leniency at all. So, now all of a sudden, like, he's completely different, acting all humble and saying exactly what I was trying to do within their community. So either it's he got completely debunked about this Psalms 137. Do you even know what this Psalms 137 is?
No, I'd have to look it up. I don't know
look,
biblical Psalms offhand and stuff.
Very simple. Okay, if you're aware of the Nephilim and stuff like that, and the giants were there, the clans were there before the flood and after the flood. Then after, if you take the time and you have to go into academics and people in Semitic language, and you have to basically benefit from all of their decades pretty much of work and stuff like that. All of those clans that are in the promised land, Canaan and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're either descendants of the Nephilim, they're crossbreeding. There is a contamination with that demonic nation.
Yeah.
And these are the only freaking things that God says, you will go and you'll do that. I will give you victory, or, you will not get victory if you don't do that and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong. The Jews have been the most enslaved, the most victimized out of all of these nations and stuff like that. So no one calls God immoral while these nations are raping the women. Like, how many times did all the Jews' children get slaughtered? They did when Jesus was born. It was done again. It's going to be done in Revelation. It's like, oh no, it's happening to the Jews and stuff like that. So the nations happened at Babel. Okay, so after the flood and humanity starting to center around, and then after there's the Tower of Babel, everyone is rebelling again. So God says, you know what? I'm not your king anymore. I'm going to put lesser beings to do like ministers. Like, you know what? Like, I'm the president, but there's governors and stuff like that. And these governors were the sons of God. So there were 70 sons of God that were put over the 70 nations. And to a large extent, this is where all of the various religions start coming out of. Because if you look at the cherubims with 5 faces, one of a man, one of a bull, one of an eagle, all these weird things. Well, when they manifest here, these angels, it's possible that they are kind of these weird cherub with like serpent face. These would be the seraphim, which would, I believe, seraphim are fiery serpents, which I believe Satan, the devil, Lucifer, was a seraphim. That's why he was a flaming serpent, and then God punished him, and now there's no more flaming serpents, kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, so my understanding of it too, kind of. So I kind of want to ask a question. So when, so I kind of understand what he's saying. Like he's like, why would you condemn to death even your enemy, kind of thing? Like I get that they may be of demonic birth, but they're still of the human.
Well, from
in that,
what the Bible's saying is like, no, they are.
Yeah. The Bible is trying to say, like, unequivocally, these guys are. They are not human anymore. They are not angels. They are a bastard race of monsters. They need to be eliminated.
Cancer. They had to be exterminated. There is nowhere, because there were some wars with other tribes. They weren't Nephilim or anything like that, and it was a big difference. There was laws against war. Forbidding to do certain things like that. All the nations would do, rape the women, do all this stuff. Israel was told not to do. They still had a higher standard than the culture at the time. And the people that criticize about look at the difference between Jesus and look at the difference between the Old Testament. No, if we're going by the narrative, okay, right up until Jesus arrived, there was no renewal of the mind. There was no new heart possible to be given. All of these people, okay, needed, like children, rules, not an explanation of do this. They knew that you just have to follow these rules because you at this point have no change of heart. God was communicating with one person at a time in Israel. Every patriarch, every prophet, every judge, everyone else completely clueless, rebellious, and constantly screwing up. Same thing happens. The apostles, prior to Pentecost, when they received the Holy Spirit, confused, corrupt, making mistakes, don't know what the hell they're doing, running away, not acknowledging Jesus, all of that stuff. So what he's doing is he cannot put the standards that Christ is putting on us because it's not fair. There's no renewal. All the law is a restraint. Okay, it is a bondsman that restrains your evil inclination until it can be transmuted into the rebirth and all of these Christian concepts. So it's a progressive revelation. Okay, and that's why these Israelites, as long as they believed in the promises, like the promise of the Messiah, they were justified. And then, but when Messiah came, then that was the next revelation, and the Christians say you didn't acknowledge that revelation. Therefore, because it's always by faith, it's by faith. But the other thing that people often use as faith, there's faith below reason, and there's faith above reason. Faith below reason is blind faith. You're just taking it as blind faith.
Yeah.
Faith above reason means that as you examine this, you become more and more convinced, and there's more evidence, and that means that your faith is increasing. You have more and more trust. So it's not true because people say like, oh well, I have faith in my wife. What is that? Trust. I have faith in this system. I have faith. We use it, and it means trust. But all of a sudden, people say, well, in the Bible, though, it just means that you rather believe without evidence. So there's a lot of misconceptions. And like I said, I want to give a fair representation to the Bible. That's it. Like, don't criticize it out of context. That's all. And like and I didn't know the context of the thing. So the context, I didn't tell you what it was. Psalm 137. Psalm 137 is Babylon enslaved the Jews for 400 years. Okay, and they ransacked the temple, destroyed everything, like brought them into captivity. So in Psalms 137, the Babylonians are mocking the Jews, saying, sing us a song of Zion, like sing us a song of your Jerusalem that is now leveled, right?
Yeah.
And so they're being mocked, and obviously there's it's normal because this isn't a command from God. This is kind of like a psalm, poem, or whatever, you know. And they hate them. Hey, if somebody came in and raped my wife, killed my children, burned my house, and then sent me across seas, okay, for the rest of my life, I might want to exact vengeance. But vengeance, meaning retribution, is from the Lord. And what happens is there's a prophecy in Isaiah that talks about Babylon being defeated by the Medo-Persians, by the Medes, okay? That Babylon would be repaid for everything it did to Israel. And it says that the people that will defeat you, Babylon, which weren't the Jews, okay, they were the Medo-Persians, they will do the same thing, and they will have the same joy that you're having on what you've done, right? An eye for an eye kind of thing. If you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. If you curse it, you'll be cursed. So these were all, basically basic rules. Just a minute. Damn it, I just lost my train. Just remind me what I just lost it.
You were talking about the context of Psalm 137 and how it applies to being enslaved by the Babylonians.
Yeah, okay, that's it. So at the end, okay, they're saying basically, you know what? Happy will they be, those that smash the heads of your infants on rocks. Doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good at all. And I didn't know the context. I knew every single other justification because of the Nephilim. That I was like, no, you can't. These are not warring nations of humans. This is wackier than you think. This is Lord of the Rings stuff. Okay, so stuff like that. But this one, he got me. Like, look, it's a freaking big book. There, I don't know it all by heart. I've achieved a certain amount that convinced me, and now I'm putting more effort. It'll take a lifetime. So I didn't have the context. It looked horrible. You know what the context is that in Isaiah, there's a prophecy, even before anything happened in Babylon, that Babylon would be defeated because in the future, Babylon would do this to the Jews. So when they asked him, sing us a song about Jerusalem, the Jews, knowing by oral tradition, the whole Bible, added at the end Isaiah, saying they'll be smiling too, they'll be enjoying dashing just like you did. And that is a very different context. That's not a command. That is just a prophecy of them suffering and saying, well, vengeance is of the Lord, and you promise that this will happen for what they've done. So good. That's not immoral. Well, what do you think of that? I'm saying it, but you know what I mean? Like, is that immoral?
So reading through it, and I've just read through a couple of different versions of it. Yes. So reading the King James version, I'll just go from the top to the bottom.
Well, don't go from the top. Do the last part, because it's the rivers of Babylon. We hung our harps. The whole point is, the context is they're in Babylon. But read maybe the last 4 passages where it talks about the smashing of the kids' heads.
No, it's there. So
okay, just read it.
So by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hang our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required of us of mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. So as you said, they're in prison. They're saying like, hey, we've captured you, we've taken you, be happy, sing us a song, Dance, monkey, dance, basically. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? And they're like, well, we don't, like, this isn't our home. How can we be happy enough to sing?
Exactly. Yes.
If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. I don't necessarily understand what that last portion means, but
say it again.
It says, if I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning.
It's just as if, like, I will always remember Zion, and if ever I would forget, like, you know, let me lose my hand or something.
That makes sense.
Like, I will never, you know, as if, like, if I would ever do that, but he's implying that he would never do that.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. If I do not, okay. So then in the next part, that context makes sense. So if I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof.
Yeah. So see, they're talking about.
I mean, it's like the Christians can take pot shots.
See, they're talking about Babylon. All of a sudden, they throw Edom in there. Edom, I believe it was. They're like cousins of the Jews. There's an affiliation, I think, with Esau, possibly one of, you know, whatever. But Edom, in a way, when Babylon was going after them, they were like encouraging them, like, yeah, get them, yay. So there's a pretty severe, I believe, engagement also for what Edom did, you know, trying to level the Jews while the Jews are being leveled already by Babylon when they're actually part of their ancestry and stuff like that. But so that's Edom. It's like it's just a historical thing. He's letting us know, like, oh yeah, by the way, Edom just did that. And then you can read the last part where that's the moneymaker, the smashing heads. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, to clarify that too on the topic of Edom. So just I'm just looking it up real quick. So they said that Edom means red, and it's named after Esau, the founder, whose name means
hairy red.
It says it's let's see, the Hebrew patriarch Isaac, because he was born red all over as a young adult. So and it's like Edom basically signifies the color red, which has a recurring theme or motif in that section of the Bible.
Yeah, and it's interesting because some of the Nephilim from Native American lore or whatever.
They would be called the Redskins.
They're supposedly, they had 6 hands, 6 toes, they had double rows of teeth, and they were red haired.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's when you start going, like, how is there similar stories in all these cultures, yet they weren't in contact, you know, like there's some, you know, pretty cool stuff.
So on that, so it says, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. So if I take that context correctly, they're saying, like, destroy it, like all the way down to the bedrock. We don't want anything left. And then it says, O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us.
Yeah. Happy
shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. Now, I don't take that as a sign. Well, I mean, okay, so there's two aspects to this. Like, they're saying, if this is your enemy, they are going to be happy because of what you did to them. They're going to be happy when they smash your infants on the rocks, just like you are happy when you smash their infants on the rocks.
Yeah,
it's like an eye for an eye thing. Like it is. You're trying to justify your terrible actions by enslaving these peoples and saying, like, hey, we're better than you. And it's like, when this comes back around to bite you, they're going to be just as happy. So why are you doing this?
Yeah, no, exactly.
I mean, that's kind of like what that whole context of this psalm says. It's like, you shouldn't be doing these terrible things to these people, because when they get their actual divine retribution on you, they're going to be happy when they get to do this to you. And then it's just going to be like a cyclical, never-ending thing.
Yeah, and this comes and like, let's say they want to say like, oh, we're coming up with that. Like, Isaiah. It's Isaiah. Isaiah specifically says that the Medes, the Lord will stir up the Medes' heart and will exact, I'm paraphrasing, exact the same vengeance that Babylon did to them. And it specifically talks about the dashing of the heads. It's there.
Yeah.
They, knowing oral tradition, all the Psalms and stuff, they used to sing a lot of things. They just knew it. Yeah. They answered it. You know, Babylon probably didn't know what the hell it meant. And this, if I can pop this up, this is what I had shown. 2 seconds. And then I'll take another break, go do my job, and then I'll start another live stream. I'll be doing, I'm doing a 12-hour shift, and I'm blessed with the quiet. So I'll just, in between, just 10 minutes maybe. If I get called, well, sorry, there'll be live streams all day. That's the best way I can do right now.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, my PowerPoint. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Okay. Oops. You're going to let me know if you see it. Just a minute. All right. Just a minute. Who's Nubs the Great? Do you know that name?
No, I do not.
Yeah. I will. Can I? Nubs the Great. Hi. I just need to finish this part first, and you know what? Let's just leave it at that. Say hi to this guy. Hopefully, he's not going to show porn, because that's what happens when you show people. No, it's just,
Yeah. No, I know.
It ruins the complete stream. You gotta
nuke the video and all that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Let's try our luck.
No porn here.
No
porn here.
Oh, thank you. It's greatly appreciated, bud.
Nope. I think that shit's dumb as hell.
Yeah, I know.
There's certain standards of excellency that we all should have, just as a general rule of thumb, in my opinion.
It would be nice. How'd you find me?
Through those good old YouTube streets.
Okay. Just like showed up in the feed kind of thing.
Yeah. I was curious to see what you had to say. I've been doing a lot of research throughout my life, and I've come to the conclusion that the Americas are the actual old world, that are referenced to as, the place of the Hebrews, ancient Egypt or Kemet. Mm-hmm. And one of the places of proof that I can offer is if you look at the Peruvian city of the Mayans, I do believe, it's as described as the city of David. It is also known as the place of the skull. Pumapunku is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So you have a city that actually matches the description given, and you also have a people that used to bash their children off of the walls, and also enemies' children. Yeah, you have all of the same conclusions that come, yet you still have the wall as Jerusalem having the Wailing Wall, yet none of these things were actually in the actual description. So, not to mention the direct quote from Christopher Columbus's writings himself, where he said, I am going to effectively paraphrased, I'm going to the Americas to conquer Mount Zion and the people of Prester John. Prester John being known as King David.
But wait, so I want to make sure. So when you're saying the city, so are you saying kind of like the Jerusalem would be there, and that's the wrong Jerusalem?
I would say that if you look at the description given in the word, it describes Pumapunku much better than it describes
Okay.
what we know as the Temple Mount.
Okay. So like then what do you think would be the what do you think would be that large slab that they say is like the one wall of one section kind of thing, the Wailing Wall? Like what would that be, you think?
Some other culture's place, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Because there is a distinct difference between the Jews and the Hebrews. Absolutely. Okay. The Jews of today were from the family of Ashkenaz. That's why they're Ashkenazi Jews. And he was a convert way back when. And a convert is not original. It's somebody, it's families from another place that have converted.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, but the word Hebrew is associated with people of the feather or the people from the other side. Well, the other side of the place that we live would be the Americas at that point in time. Not to mention you have the Phoenicians, that their boats literally were made the same way as most American Indians and or South American Indians. They were just on a much larger scale. Then you have all the anchors from Florida that would associate to boats that were on a massive scale, as well as boats that have been buried that have been on a massive scale. Then you have, if you look extra biblically or outside of the Bible, you can see things like Thoth that clearly came from the Atlanteans by his own testament. Well, where's the Atlanteans? That would be, in my opinion, and under research, the area around Florida.
Okay.
But there was cataclysm. That's why you had the Bimini Road knocked over.
Yeah. If it's, well, I mean, if you're strictly talking about like the true, I'll just give like how I've come to that conclusion is also, like you said, man, there's archaeological things that are giving, you know, you the like, this could be the spot, but in the place where everyone thinks that Jerusalem is at the moment, there's also some very strong archaeological evidence. One of them is
same can be said in the modern day Egypt, but yet if you look at some of the photos from back in the early turn of the century, you see them building those places, just like you see them building places like what's the big circle in fucking Europe?
CERN? CERN or the
no the
Atlantis?
stone. No, the stone structure.
Stonehenge?
Yeah, Stonehenge. If you look, you can find construction pictures of these things, just like you can find construction pictures of renovations of buildings that shouldn't need renovations that have entire floors underneath them.
Yeah.
You know, not only that, but you also have, you know, my second witness to the Americas being the true old world would be the fact that gopher wood is exclusively grown in the Florida area, as well as one Polynesian island. So it's got to be from one of those two, or it had to float to one of those two. Now, you do have the natural wood that is in the place. You have all the descriptions matching pre-flood to that area around Florida. I would say that there is some definite strong evidence. You know, it says to come with 2 or 3 witnesses. Right there's just 2.
There one or more witnesses? I think it's no, it's 2 or more. Yeah, I think you're right.
2 or more as far as
Hey, can I show you what, like, why I think it is kind of where everyone thinks it is. Let me see here. Okay, the Old Testament. Okay, so over here in Egypt, they say that Mount Sinai, there's a mountain called Mount Sinai that's around here, and it's not true, because if you just literally take, like, as a roadmap, they went here, then they went up here, and it makes total sense. But if you follow, okay, once you get across the Red Sea, there is just a minute. If you get across the Red Sea, then you get to the real Mount Sinai, and this archaeology, which obviously people don't want to acknowledge, is charred rock on the top, and it is in the pretty much the exact geographical area. If you're assuming, okay, this is Egypt, Jerusalem is where it is, surrounded by you know, all that. Then there's another one. It's not just this. This here is in the location. Again, if you follow the ancient biblical geographical world and stuff like that, this rock is what we would think is the rock that Moses struck in the desert for where water flowed. Now, is it? I don't know. But there's one thing. If you look at this, see right here, okay, it's all it's water had flowed.
Water, absolutely. And see, here's the thing. If you notice when I said about the Hebrews, I said the people from over there. That's where they're from. That's not where they are necessarily. In fact, it would infer that they are in a different location. So I'm not saying that all of it happened there. Not saying that. I'm saying that at one point in time, it was much bigger than what we could ever imagine.
Yeah,
I'd like to
is possibly
the place of the skull can also be associated with the place of the skull at Pumapunku.
Right.
Both are places.
I was going to say this one would line up exactly where Calvary or Golgotha, which means I believe in Hebrew,
the place of the skull.
So like for me, I'm like, damn it, like there are, you know, the garden area, there's the Valley of Hinnom, there's like, I mean, everything in the Bible that they're saying, okay, is kind of still there. Like Jews, at least from the Bible, Jews is because you know how there was the upper Judea and then there was the bottom. So like it was all Israel, but there was kind of like Judah was on the top, and that's where they got the term Jews from the tribe of Judah. Well, maybe
the J was not even formed at that point in time.
For what?
So I would disagree with that.
Well, no, it's because we pronounce, let's say Jehovah, but it's Yehovah, right? Like, so in Hebrew, there's no Jah. It's all Yah.
It's but what I'm saying though is if we're saying that it was the Jews, we're talking about a modern day people that are of the line of Ashkenaz and prominently from the Germanic tribes. Mainly my family. Like you're talking about my lineage of where my family is from. Okay. You know, so I'm very well versed when it comes to, you know, obviously my family lineage, etc. Historians in my family have brought it back to approximately the 8th century, you know, so I'm pretty versed as far as that goes. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that either one of us is correct. No. I'm saying if you limit it, you know, if you look at those stories, you have hundreds of thousands of people that are represented. You don't have the landmass to support that many people. Not to mention corn is mentioned in the Bible. Corn is a New World plant. Yeah. Cocaine found in mummies in Egypt is a New World plant.
I know what you mean because I've seen like it looks almost like a wheat, the original corn and stuff like that. But
maize.
But the agricultural revolution, 10,000, at least that's what they're saying. So I think that in that process, corn could have, you know, more traditional corn could have gradually been there. Let's say in the time of
it
Joseph.
Came from the Americas, though, is what I'm saying.
It's quite possible. Like, yeah, like
it's been found that that's to be factual. In fact, the Amazon at one point in time was covered in cornfields, and they found that in the dirt layers.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you also have archaeological evidence that supports the fact that the modern day horse is originally from the Americas. The bear, the lion, the jaguar. the cheetah, the elephant, the camel. All of these animals are directly from the Americas, both North and South. They are not from where we associate them today. And there's record of it in the ground of what I'm saying. It's not that I'm just coming up with ideas. Not to mention you have the ibis representing both Thoth and also the actual bird. The ibis originated in the Americas. Okay. You know, so you have all, and also the representation of Anubis, the dog. That dog is more likened to the Mexican dog than anything found in Africa today. Not to mention that you have Mexico, which can directly be related back to Moxica or Moses.
Okay, cool. Look, I hope you continue to come back to my channel. I absorb everything, you know, there might be something I don't agree, but there's one thing that I'm like, oh, that fits into my thing. So I'm open-minded to everything. Me personally, I'm a literalist, all the Bible and stuff like that. But yeah, there's pyramids all over, right, on different continents. And so I do acknowledge that there's something. I mean, what I would say is that this is again fallen angel activity, that the pyramids have to do something with heaven and earth kind of thing. And these pyramids, I think that they come from the fallen angels, and the nations after Babel were scattered. 70 angels were put over them. And those angels, instead of ministering, they did the same thing. They demanded worship. They played God. And now you have all of these different mythologies, which perhaps now have become exaggerated. But I think that there's always a kernel of truth from where those mythologies come from. I got to let you go. I got to do my rounds.
I'll pop back up, because a ministry, that word ministry, hold that thought. Ministry means something that we don't think it does.
Okay, go ahead before I go.
A ministry, both Tiberius out of Rome and Jesus out of the Bible, they had the same stories in their ministries. In fact, their ministries started at the same place in Galilee, where Tiberius was quoted to have said, "Come, I will make you fishers of men." During an incursion of the Hebrew people that were coming in, and they slaughtered about 2,000 of them. Same story is associated to Jesus Christ in a manner of peace. Well, how do you get to peace but by war? There are many other places where Tiberius's ministry, or the ministry of defense, keyword, and Jesus's ministry, they correlate many, many different times. It's an interesting research study, well worth the time.
All right. But
have a good one.
Are you kind of saying that Jesus is a myth, and that mythology is based on prior centricity? Is that what they call it? Kind of like
I'm saying there's correlations between the story of Jesus and the story of Tiberius. I'm saying that there's correlations. I'm not claiming fact to anything.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Would you be able to, let's say we can hook up, and just specifically that, can you, like, whenever?
Can I provide evidence?
In a month or whatever. But if you do find the documents, exactly what you're saying, the Tiberius link, you know, like the correlation.
Well, there's lots of people that have done that parallel. That I would definitely glean to first and foremost, that are far better at presentation than I am. There's the guy, the Christian whistleblower. That guy has some really. What's that?
No, but I mean, if you can bring it on, like, I'm not going to challenge on you. I was just like, hey, this is a good talking piece.
No. I'm just saying, like, there's places that I have gleaned from, and if I'm going to lead you in a path that you would follow of any kind, it would be the path that I took. And that's one of the places that I went to look into this, to get inspired, to start then looking at the books that he recommended, because that's really what research is. You get one person's opinion and then go do the searching yourself.
Yeah.
So
definitely. Like if you've heard me before, like I did 20 years of just curious, same thing, like everything and anything, searching out and stuff like that. Like I'm open to definitely conversations and stuff like that. I definitely keep all things, in the back of my head. But for me, like I've been convinced more and more that I'll be open-minded to like things that are not necessarily going against the Bible, that are kind of extra biblical, that could be true. But I'm very careful, because I feel like I've grown more and more trust in it, that I'm very careful to deviate from really the context of what they're saying. Like I just want to throw that out, because I wanted you to talk, but like I didn't want to like not respond and then say like, oh, Jason agrees. I'm open-minded to it. I'm keeping things.
I get where you're coming from. I get where we all have our own opinions, and the way I've looked at it for a very long time is we all have the right to our own opinion. And if our opinion is not based in proper research and it's merely based in opinion, then your opinion is just that. It's an opinion. It stinks just as bad as mine does.
Yeah,
I'd like to add something to your point there, Nubs, that I think is, as well as Jason's here, I think it's interesting. And I've noticed this just from my own research. So, Jason, you were talking about how...
Guys, just wait 1 second.
Sure.
Would you mind just speaking for another 10 minutes together to continue content, so I don't have to stop the stream?
Fine. That's cool.
That's okay?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna.
I'm not gonna porn bomb you or nothing.
No, now's your time.
Okay.
Remove from stream solo layout. I'm going to remove my.
Okay.
That works.
Yeah. So on when Jason was bringing up the example of the Red Sea, and then he pointed out the locations for Mount Sinai, and then you're talking about the pyramids in what was the Pumapunku in South America.
Well, the city of Pumapunku is not necessarily the pyramids. The city itself would be known as the city of David.
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of make this parallel. So there's all these weird things like that you see in the Bible where they claim, or like people like Jason will claim, that are historical and that they have evidence. They're like, this is evidence of this event that took place. And, again, he references the Red Sea, Moses, Mount Sinai, the splitting of the rock, water, and the seared mountaintop. Well, I mean, what I found interesting is that you can find weird stuff like that in almost any religion. And the one that always springs to mind when I hear Christians talking about their biblical evidence, and I'm not by any means trying to shit on Christians or anything, but again, this is just one thing that I've noticed. Like if you look at Norse mythology, Scandinavian mythology, one of the tales that they tell is Thor going to the land of giants, and he gets challenged by Hrungnir, I think that's the guy's name, to do these challenges. Well, on the way there, he meets another giant who doesn't want to move, and he just antagonizes Thor left and right until Thor's just like, okay, I've had enough, dude. You're done. Mjolnir, take care of my light work. And he hits the giant and nothing happens. He just laughs it off. And you're like, well, Thor's like, well, what happened? And so he hits him again and again and again and again. It just keeps wailing on this guy with Mjolnir. And he's like, no giant has ever withstood a single blow from Mjolnir, let alone me just going to town on him. Well, later, after the challenge is revealed to be these sleight of hands, that when he's wrestling the old lady, he's wrestling death, which no god is above. When
Right.
his companion is racing against the other giant, he's not racing against a giant or another man. He's racing against the speed of thought, which is the fastest thing in the universe, even though the kid is as fast as lightning. And then Loki competing against another giant in an eating contest. Loki's renowned for the amount of food that he can put away, but at the same time, like, nothing consumes totally more than fire.
Right.
So Thor's thing that he was throwing his hammer against was the earth itself, the land itself, and this is where I'm getting to in my point. They say that it created, in one of these books that I read, somebody pointed out, he's like, well, that is the amount of damage that he did in those throws against that giant caused so many fissures, or such a great fissure in the earth, that it basically created the Grand Canyon. And then when he's competing to drink the horn, that is the reason why we have the tides, because he was actually drinking from the ocean. So
Right.
there's weird stuff in that, I think, which is interesting, that you can see, like, well, the Grand Canyon, people didn't know about it back then. I mean, the Vikings had been to the Americas, but they never traveled like really any further.
Did they though?
I don't think
you
they
think
went
about
that
it.
far. I don't think they went that far west. I
I
mean,
do.
they did get pretty far.
I think they knew about it, whether they went themselves, because Vikings is 5 kings, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Vikings were, why do they call it Sweden? It's because the people of Dan, or the tribe of Dan, had migrated over and then came back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it wasn't somewhere that they had gone from that they did not know. And you look at a Viking ship and you look at the modern day canoe, they're the same fucking thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Just larger scale.
Yeah, it's a different scale. It's an ocean crossing scale as opposed to a lake crossing scale.
Yeah.
So in other words, what I'm saying is, when we look at these histories, if we see them building structures in the 30s or the 20s that are meant to look like ancient Egypt, but yet the bigger stones are below them, there's somebody that had to move those bigger stones.
Yeah.
And so the whole Anunnaki thing, sure, I can get down with that. Personally, if you look at the etymology of the word elf, it goes back to the word El, which is the gods, or the Anunnaki, I guess, indirectly. So, I mean, when you look at mythology or mythos, there's an element of truth to all of it, in the sense of there was something that inspired that story to be written down.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I totally agree with you on the elf thing. Like, we have this like misconception today in modern times, where everybody thinks elves are just these tall, long-lived, pointy-eared, snooty jerks. And like back in the day, like, they were very malevolent, especially in Scandinavian mythology. They were basically like straight up evil. Yeah.
They were demons.
And you had to ward your house against them. Like in some European folklore, they have like these methods where you will ward your house against elves, because they will just come and screw with you just out of spite. They'll kill your cattle. They'll kidnap your kids. They'll do all these terrible things. And yeah, they're not. Elves were not good things. But then the same thing with like giants. You see the
same fucking story.
Same idea of giants being these terrifyingly large, powerfully built, physically imposing, and magically potent beings that just transcend all mythology. They're like the same in every mythology you can look at. Like the Iliad in the Bible, the Nephilim in the Bible. They have all these ancient secrets. They're powerful, like incomparable to other gods. They wreak terrible destruction wherever they go. They are to be feared, and sometimes they demand worship or sacrifice. It's crazy how many parallels there are.
Speaking of parallels, another evidence to America being the true old world is, if you look in the the Popol Vuh of the Mayans,
Mhm.
it's almost word for word identical to in the beginning, God created. Like almost word for word, dude.
Yeah.
Like
there's
laughably word for word type deal.
well, and again, I don't want to hit on Christians or anything, or I'm not making fun of them. I
Right.
mean, to each their own. Whatever you want to believe, whatever you want to believe. I don't care. But looking at it from an objective point of view, like that's not an uncommon phrase, like you just pointed out, that exists all the way over in the Mayans. I believe I was reading a book a little while ago on African folk tales, and they have kind of the same creation myth where they're like, in the beginning God created blah blah blah, and you're like, okay, that's a very common thing. I don't remember reading that in what is it, the Epic of Gilgamesh. Like, they don't really talk about the creation all of that much, but they do mention what is that, the evil deity's name. He exists in the waters separate from the earth, and he lives below below the earth in the dark waters kind of thing. I was like, well, that's like a Satan sort of figure, devil figure for them.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, that's like really crazy how that works. And Gilgamesh himself like translates over into the myth of like Hercules or Perseus or Odysseus, like all the same kind of stories. And you've got the Jesus figure who translates over into like Mitra, Hercules, a little bit of Thor, maybe a little bit of Odin, more
Tiberius.
Odin. Tiberius. Just like I think how you were pointing out how there's archaeological evidence of these weird materials crossing over from one entire portion of the earth to another, and it's like 3,000 plus miles of separation. You're like, this only grows in this one specific place on the complete opposite side of the globe. I think there were probably some lone pilgrims, or just people who are like, you know what, I've already traveled this far, what's a little bit further? Let's keep going. Let's just roll the dice.
Well, that's just it, or you think about it. Think about this. Do you have a brother or sister?
I do. I have two sisters.
Okay. When you were a kid, did you ever have an argument with them and just start fucking walking? Like, fuck you, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
How many times did that happen?
A lot. I mean, I don't know of a single time when, even with friends, I've gotten to that point. Like,
and so if you have the entire fucking mass of land that you can just keep on fucking walking.
Yeah, and I mean,
and there's constant resource.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've already
because
out
the
how
whole
to survive. You've got the tools that you need. You're like, I'm out. I'm done. Screw you. I'm going home, as Cartman would say.
Right, because home is where you make it.
Yeah.
And back when you think about it, all these creature comforts like a cell phone and a couch, dude, you didn't bring a fucking couch when you're camping.
No,
and life was camping.
You brought a knife. Oops, sorry about that. You'd bring a knife, a hatchet, maybe some rope that you had made, a backpack filled with some provisions, and then you just be on your way. Like, you could pick up and move inside like 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, you look at, I guess the thing that gets me is, you look at tribes like the Mongols, and that's many different tribes. I understand that, nevertheless, you look at people like that, they were masters of the horse. Well, that means they were probably there when the horse came to be.
Yeah, there's things like you guys are bringing up corn, and I remember listening to a podcast with Dr. Bill Schindler on a couple of different channels. One with Anthony Chaffee for the carnivore community, and then another one, I can't remember the name of the guy's channel. I've got it in my nutrition playlist if anybody wants to check them out. They're like right next to each other. But he's talking about the Mongols, and he's also talking about Native Americans and their relationship to maize. And he brings up an interesting point that I thought was that people kind of like overlook, is that with maize, when we introduced it to Europe, a lot of the people got sick. They got pellagra. They were just freaking dying from like zinc deficiency and niacin deficiency because the corn was stripping that out of their bodies. And yeah, it tasted great. Didn't matter how you really cooked it. It always tasted good. But the Native Americans and the Mesoamericans, like they grew up or they had a relationship with that plant for hundreds, if not thousands of years before they started. Yeah, before they started consuming it in the mainstream. And when we come in and we take it and then we just start giving it to people and they're like, no, bro, there's a specific way you've got to deal with this.
Here's some crazy shit.
Get real sick.
You know how they talk about the heartland of America? It's, you know, like that whole Ertl commercial growing up as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Why we have the grain belt and everything like that, and you know, that fertile crest around the Mississippi. Yeah. Well, that's described in other books. Nevertheless, they found a pyramid structure in a lake in Wisconsin, and if you look at the Mayan myths, that's where they say they came from. And where is the most corn grown but here?
Yeah. Well, and there's some interesting things like that. Have you ever seen the presentation on how Native Americans arrived in the Americas? Like how that
they arrive, or were they always here?
Well, so one of the prime theories is that they came up from Indonesia and then they traveled up through China, Korea, across the land bridge, over through Alaska.
The Asians.
Yeah, and then they descended down into the Americas that way. But then there's also they're like, how did people get to Hawaii and Samoa and like all of these other places? And they're like, well, they were a very, very successful fishing culture, and the catamaran is like one of the most stable and easy to build.
It's two canoes with a fucking sail.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the easiest thing, but it's very stable. It's very easy to work. It's very easy to master, and it has a ton of utility. And so they're saying, like, because they were such good fishermen, they just kept either exploring or they drifted, and they somehow ended up, island hopping their way to South America. Basically, the two people connected like thousands and thousands of years later, created the Mesoamericans, Aztecs, Incas, and then, Native American tribes, Cherokee, Sioux, Blackfoot, all that stuff.
I've seen maps from early on. I'm big into maps. Maps fascinate the fuck out of me. Nevertheless, I've seen maps that described 3 Asias. And one was where we know Asia today. The other one was North America, and the second one was South America. So you had the 3 Asias right there. It was a really, really interesting map. And also it described the Moroccan, or the Moors, and that whole culture as a whole, when it was first formed, in that fertile crest that's on both North Carolina's flag and also the Moroccan flag and many other Muslim country flags. That fertile crest there is more descriptive of the coast of Mexico, or from Florida around, with Cuba being the star. And you think about it, it's always known to be the star of Cuba, or Cuba.
Yeah. I think just people have gotten around a lot more than what we give them credit for. I mean,
definitely the Phoenicians were everywhere.
Yeah. This idea that we've always existed in the same places for thousands of years. I mean, yeah, in recent history, but there has been untold amounts of archaeological evidence across the globe of multiple cultures intersecting, and it's just insane to think that with what we know about Pangaea and our evolutionary history, to think that we're all locked in the same place. Like, there's no way that
Hang on 1 second.
But I think that gives a lot of credence to like the overlap of a lot of like aspects of various religions and cultures, because they're trading information, or whatever that term is, trans globally or across the world, and they don't even realize it. Like,
guys,
well, it's because they're going to their cousins.
Yeah.
Just a sec, guys. It's true, and he's right. Freedom Grower writes, "You have 666 subs."
Yeah.
I'm at literally 666.
You also have
you realize that's
the
because
messenger god.
Stream, right? You serpent worshiper.
Yeah, probably
so,
Jason, I will say you also have the messenger god Nike on your neck.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I knew about Nike.
Well, just
that's
for
his symbol.
A point of clarification, though.
It was either this or a pink Hello Kitty. So forgive me for the
Hello
idol
Kitty
bracelet.
So
I go with the kitty.
A lot of people like to say that 666 is the mark of the beast, and I think that that's a misrepresentation of what actually the mark of the beast is, because the mark of the beast is actually like the exclusionary limitation of the ability to operate within society, and typically that is the ability to buy or sell. And you see that with people trying to pass things like digital only currencies.
Guys, just one second. Like I changed the title. I really want to get back actually to Freedom Grower.
Yeah, if you want to.
Just because if I kind of stop this, because I wrote talking about Nephilim and Bible, which is way more accurate. And but like, I don't want Freedom Grower to be on this one when we're barely speaking about him. And I really want to get back to that. So we're already at 2 hours for this stream. It's well labeled talking about Nephilim and Bible. I would like to stop this one and restart the next live stream, starting with Grower.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. I need to get going anyways, so
that's fine.
It was good to talk to you both.
Charles, as you know, you're always invited. Want you to be a regular.
Sure.
Nubs as well. Especially like some of the stuff that you were talking. It was a little like, I'm not even sure if I grasped exactly what you're saying, but if you have any information that you want to present, because I can share your screen just to have a nice topic, you let me know what the theme is, and I'll pop like guest with Nubs the Great, and I give you the mic, and we all listen open-mindedly. The offer's there. Charles, offers there as well. I know that you're well learned overall, or at least that's the impression you give me. So if ever you have cool topics, come here. That's fine.
For sure. All right, man.
Okay, I'm kicking us three out, and sorry guys, we're going to restart the stream.
Peace out.
All right, see you in about 2 minutes.